They have the hard-hitting analysis.
I'm anti-injury, so maybe this won't work out.
Kyler's only playing one tight end this week, so that's probably going to help him out a lot.
They tell it like it is.
That's not what I needed, Grandma Nut.
All right, the hipster fantasy player.
I don't do anything.
Their listeners love them.
Found all your charts boring, to be frank. Caitlin was the star of the show.
They break down all the statistics.
20 points. That doesn't quite add up. Maybe he had 93.
This is the Snick Snack Sports Podcast.
Here we... All right, Snickers, help me out.
What's going on, all you fantasy football fans out there? Welcome back to another episode of the Snick Snack Sports Fantasy Football Podcast. How are you doing today, Nate?
Doing great, Nick. We've got a kind of a wild week. It's an arms race for the first time in our league's history. Don't know what made it happen this year, but we've got one, and we want to talk all about it. And we've got Shane on the show to share his involvement in the race. It's been wild this week. Deals being made left and right. Probably more deals being made this week than in the last 3 years put together. So excited to dig into it. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm doing great. I clinched a playoff spot. First one to do that. Obviously, that means target's on my back now. I know that I'm trying to humbly move through it, but you are 100% right. There's buyers, there's sellers, there's more trades than ever before. I know in the past we've talked about how we don't have a lot of trades in this league. Last year we changed that a little bit. This year it is crazy. It's blowing up on a Wednesday morning when normal, decent people are supposed to be working. Everyone's making trades.
That's right. So, yeah, I managed to do a little bit of dealing during lunch, but couldn't nab the deals I wanted to make. I'm sure we'll get into those ones because they happened with other people. And yeah, I don't know. What's the bigger deal to you, though, Nick? The fact that you made the playoffs or that you've been crowned the anti-chump?
Winning the chump was something that I didn't expect to happen necessarily. I don't know if I've been number one in the week at all yet this year, but just been good enough. And that's the exact same thing as Shane's strategy. We were texting the next Tuesday morning about that. How George Pickens, went off Monday night, and that's how I ended up beating him. I was projected to lose basically the entire weekend to him. So it was very exciting, and it was a good game. Handshake via text for both of us there.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get a trophy going for this chump thing, but you are our first anti-chump. And yeah, had a very even season. No really bad weeks. Apparently, no really good weeks. I, meanwhile, have gotten first on the week 3 times and have a much worse team than you.
Two in a row. You are literally on fire, and it's not much that anyone can do to stop it. I think, honestly, before we even bring our guest on here, people are scared of you. You have more than 50% chance right now to make the playoffs. You are moving up the leaderboard. Were you in 10th or 11th? What was your worst
I
standings?
think I was down in 10th. Yeah, just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and now you're in 6th and moving up and have 140 points 2 weeks in a row. No one else has done that this season. I think there's a lot of people that are fearful of your team, and that's why a lot of people are making deals to try and make sure that either keep you out or try and, battle with you right in the 5-6 range there.
I think that's part of it, and I think people. We'll dig into this more later. I think there's also a reaction, maybe in part to my 2 week rise here, but also to the Amon-Ra St. Brown trade that happened a couple weeks ago. I think people were like, "Oh shit, Ducky all of a sudden has got this like superstar. We all need our own superstars." Uh, so I think that's kind of the narrative that I see. Let's look at the standings. And as I'm pulling this up, just on the chump league, so Shane was the last chump. He got second place. That means for the bet that you got 3 points this week, you're now in our personal one-on-one bet. You have 11 points to my 8. So you've been having a bit of a good streak there. In terms of the person who called the most chumpings, it came out to me and you each got 2 called. I think yours were the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But Kenny got 3. And so he is, in fact, the chump reaper this year. three times in the last 11 weeks, he has called who will be chumped. And that was despite calling bottom tier Nick every week, except for apparently the 2 weeks he gets someone else and was right.
Yeah, it's a skill I definitely didn't have until it was, mathematically probable that I was going to be starting to get some right. And both the only two people that voted for Shane last week to be chumped were me and Shane, who that's hilarious.
Yeah, Shane's first time being right was when he called his own chumping. But looking at the standings here, you're right. You clinched the playoffs 17-5. So currently it's official that 17 wins will get you the playoffs. I suspect that the magic number is actually a little bit lower than that. I think we had initially guessed that 17 would be that number. I'm now thinking it's probably going to be 15. Um, we can see that John is not officially eliminated, actually. He's been going 1-1 the past few weeks. And I think the best he can do now is what, 10?
Yeah, 6 weeks to go, so 12.
12. Yeah, you're right, 12. So 12 technically makes the playoffs so far, but I think through a really improbable string of events.
Yeah, we were talking
Uh,
to that about to Nick last week, and he thinks that it's just a mathematical miscalculation on the part of ESPN here that yes, she has a 0% chance, but there's don't want to do all the math to actually prove it.
I think that there's a path in there, but like one in a million type of path.
Yeah.
Um,
Same thing
Meanwhile,
with Nick
bottom
Adams
two Nick,
too, 2%. And Matt
2%.
is, we're going to talk about him heading down. Matt wants to lose as much as he can now.
Yeah. And at this point, the biggest fight is over that sixth spot. I guess Shane and Katie are a little bit vulnerable at one game ahead of me. They have Katie at 73%. But Kyler is just on the outside, as is Kyle. And so I think and we could say that there are five people fighting for two spots, or there are four people fighting for one spot. I'm not really sure how you see that.
Hmm. It's a tight one. It looks like top three are locked in. A couple weeks ago, you were talking about eking your way in to make the sixth seed. I think you have a decent chance at going above that, like we just talked about. Was looking at the points against right before the show, and Katie in fourth place has the least points against in the entire league. She has the weakest schedule. That might mean House of Cards. That might mean that she's just playing the best game. She does the third lowest points for, I think. So I think she's definitely, a target. I know you're not facing her, straight on, but it's a pretty close one. And you obviously having the second most or third most points for 1 point out of second place and being in sixth and a couple weeks ago being in 10th is it's pretty interesting to look at all these standings and just play with the numbers here.
Yeah, and I know there are years when I've been up there and said, well, I'm too low ranked for how my points for is. This year that is not the case. I was averaging like 80 points a week besides my three huge weeks, basically.
Mm.
So, if can my team be more consistent through the end of the year into the playoffs? I don't know. I think so because a big part of that was Travion Henderson actually being useful, and he was like my fourth round pick or something.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, I think a couple other. Katie is clearly an outlier here. So is Kyler. He's actually down in 11th place despite being in playoff contention. Um, so, yeah. Now, what
Yeah.
about some of that NFL news?
Yeah, definitely a lot of NFL news going on. Just quick shout out to Carson, who has the hardest schedule according to our, point of view here, and is still, 10, 20, 15% in the playoffs here. But couple sad things to note. J.K. Dobbins out for the season. Calvin Ridley, broken fibula, out for the season. Michael Penix out for the season, which has a lot of effects on the Atlanta Falcons there. Kirk Cousins starting. We got um, Drake London. It's going to be out this week. We got Sam Laporta to IR out at least 4 weeks. We got CJ Stroud supposed to be playing tonight, still out with a concussion. We got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Amari DiMercado both out for the Arizona Cardinals. We got some quarterback changes. Tyrod Taylor starting over Justin Fields. Shedeur Sanders starting over everyone on the Browns. And then Joe Burrow Full practice Wednesday, full practice Thursday. Could he
Wow.
play on Sunday?
The man knows how to heal.
He knows how to get injured, but he knows how to heal. You're right.
And just one thing I forgot to mention, the line this week for the win against the league was interesting. It was actually only 99.5, which was the lowest this whole season. Week
Mhm.
one was similar, but it was slightly higher.
Yeah, everyone this week that went over 100 points made the +1, and everyone that went under 100 points did not get the +1. That was fun to watch.
Yeah. Shane was just over the line at 106, but we've been calling the line as the seventh place score.
Yeah.
So there you had it. You just had to get over 100. Now, for the first time this year, we will invite Shane to the show. All right, welcome, Shane. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. I think this is the latest that we've had you for an appearance on the show. It took
First
till
time,
week
man.
12 to get you on.
Yeah, my schedule's been rough, with all the raids going on around there that I got to be involved with. It's been tough to find a day off.
Yeah, I mean, since you got put on administrative leave, have you been had a little bit more time to, think about your actions and think about trying to get on the show, or?
Yeah, apparently I was uh, put back into service, but I was never told. So um, I found that out yesterday.
Hmm. Well,
Oh, wow.
congratulations. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we also have just had a lot of star power this year. Unfortunately, haven't been able to make room. Um,
Mm.
but glad you could to squeeze you in here. Um, and we wanted to lead it off, Shane. We actually, as you know, we're second place in the Chump League, and so Snickers was named anti-chump. You were
Hmm.
just kind of chump least chumped, if you
First,
will.
first chump, first
First chump out.
lady. Yeah.
But so that also means that me and Nick don't have a bet this week.
Mm.
And we decided for our bet, what we'll do is draft what we're going to call a 3-second team, meaning that, and you're going to have the opportunity to deprive either of us of winning this bet.
Mm.
We're going to go around and each pick one player that we can think of off the top of our head, and we'll add up the scores for a quarterback, running back, wide receiver.
Okay.
And we're going to give you first pick for the quarterbacks, and we're going to give you 3 seconds,
Hold on. This
which
doesn't include Thursday night games, though, right? That's going on
I
right
have no idea
now.
who's playing right now, so it might.
All right.
All
So you
right.
can take Thursday night if you want, Shane.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. You got 3 seconds, and you're on quarterback.
Matt Stafford.
Matt
Nice.
Stafford. All right. Snickers, you ready? 3 seconds, quarterback.
3 seconds. I will take Drake May, apparently.
Okay,
Drake.
so you go to last.
Nope, I got Drake May, Nate. I got that in.
Oh, okay. You got that in? Okay, I'm
Nate,
ready. Someone count me in.
3, 2,
Lamar
1.
Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Hopefully he's playing this week. Do we have people on bye this week?
No one is. Yes, we have 4 buys this week. We got Commanders, Chargers, Dolphins, and someone else.
Broncos.
Nice.
Broncos. Thank
All right.
you.
And Broncos. So don't pick one of those players. All right, Snickers, you're in for quarterback, or sorry, running back. You
For
ready?
running back,
Three,
in
two.
I will take Kyron Williams.
Aaron Williams, nice. He's on my fantasy team. He's been great this year.
And Nate for running back in 3, 2,
All right, Jonathan
1.
Taylor,
Jonathan Taylor.
who is a new member of your team, Shane, which I'm sure we'll talk quite a bit about.
I'm sure we will.
And Shane, to running back for you, we got
Jameer Gibbs.
Nice on
Jameer
my
Gibbs.
team.
Very
Appreciate that.
nice.
The love there, guys.
All right, and then last one, I'll pick first for wide receiver. Count
You
me in,
got
Snickers.
3, 2, 1,
Nico
0.
Collins.
You got one,
I
Nico
wanted to pick
Collins.
Jamar Chase so bad, but I'm pretty sure he's not playing this week, so I refrained.
Jamar is not playing. Shane, you have 3 seconds now for wide receiver.
Stick with the Lions. I'll go with Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then count me in, Nate.
All right, three,
I'm gonna go with my guy Emeka Ibuka.
Nice. So that's kind of a deeper pick for the top three. But
I could
all right,
not think
nice.
of a single player. That was so stressful.
That's the point, I suppose. I was having the same issue. Okay. Now, um, what the main thing that I want to talk about this week is what we're calling an arms race here, Shane. And you've been a big part of it. I'm gonna kind of break down the various roles, and then I want to hear your takes on some of these teams.
Hmm.
Um, so our trade deadline is not until for 2 weeks. We're talking about perhaps moving it up because that is quite late. Obviously, there'll be teams eliminated by then, and I don't think you want your trade deadline after several teams have been eliminated. Um, so that may change for the future, but for this year, things are still going on, and we have clear buyers, sellers, and then a couple teams who have not really been involved. I would say that what I'm calling the neutral teams, myself, Carson, and Katie. And it's not that I have not been trying to make trades. I think I've actually played the role of driving up the price of a bunch of trades that have happened, your trade included. I don't know if you knew I was on the other end of that Jonathan Taylor trade, but I
I knew
thought I
there was
almost had it.
other people involved, but I've been working that one for a few weeks, so I had last look no matter what on that
I,
one.
I got that sense, but I heard your offer. I didn't know who it was. I heard your offer, and I uh, offered 2 rounds, and you ended up offering just like 2 picks better than mine. And then by the time I got out of my patient visit, you had them.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Hmm.
But the so yeah, me, Carson, Katie have been pretty neutral. Meanwhile, Kyler, bottom tier Nick, John, and especially Matt have
Hmm.
been sellers. Matt's even changed his name to going out of business. Huge fire sale going on Matt's team. Drake May and one other player whose name I'm not remembering are definitely still in the trading block, and they will be gone by the week's end. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, Shane, we've got you,
Hmm.
Ducky, Snickers, Kenny, and Kyle, interestingly, as clear buyers in this whole affair.
And I'm just going to read out the trades of the last week just so everyone you can follow along at home. We got Ducky trading Lamar Jackson, Stephon Diggs, and Alvin Kamara to Kyler for Christian McCaffrey and Rashad White. We got Kyle trading Brian Robinson Jr. to Shane for Blake Corum. We got Kenny trading David Njoku and a third round pick to George Kittle and a seventh round pick of Matt. We got Matt trading Travis Etienne and an eighth round pick to Shane for Dallas Goedert and a sixth round pick, or fourth round pick, sorry. We got Matt trading Brock Bowers and a last round pick to Jake Ferguson and a fifth round pick. We got John trading Jonathan Taylor and a fourth and a 15th round pick to Shane for Sean Tucker and a second and a third. And then just yesterday afternoon, we got Kenny trading Tez Johnson and a second round pick to Carson for Jamar Chase and a ninth round pick. This was a week after my trade of Justin Herbert and Kamani Vidal and a fifth round pick coming to me and a fourth round pick, Dan Jones and Kareem Hunt going to Nick Adams. So it's been crazy. It's hard to read all that fast, but it's like we said at the top of the show, it's an arms race.
I kind of stand corrected. I actually, for some reason, thought that last trade was with Kyler, and so Carson clearly was a seller there. I'm adding him to the sellers list. Um, yeah, it's clearly an arms race. Just to also summarize kind of the big players that have ended up on the team, Snickers, you added Justin Herbert and Kamani Vidal. Shane, you ended up with Travis Etienne and Jonathan Taylor.
And
Kenny
Brian
got George
Robinson Jr.
Kittle and Jamar Chase. What's that?
So the key to my plan was getting Brian Robinson Jr. as well.
Yeah.
So you can't forget about that. That's probably the most strategic move out of all of these.
That could be the year.
Yeah.
Players like him blow up every year. And
Yep.
just
I
I
got
don't
rid of
he's
Derek
probably
Handcuff
what
for Ducky's
probably
handcuff.
running back 50 so far this year or something like that. But
Mm. Yep. So
you
And
never
it's
know.
so strategic. I strategically drafted Brian Robinson for the exact reason you just traded for him.
I needed to have both of Ducky's handcuffs at running back in
Yeah.
order to make it work. That was more of a we were we were playing Call of Duty online together, and when Ducky made that trade for Christian McCaffrey, and I made a plea to Kyle to give me Brian Robinson because Ducky's like, I need to get him now in case he gets injured. So it was more for comedic effect.
Hey, that could actually come into play though. Um, I forgot that he's on Christian McCaffrey's team, and that guy gets injured. So, especially because he's still the whole offense over there. Um, but the big moves for Ducky, he added Christian McCaffrey, like we talked about, and also Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then Kyle did add Brock Bowers, another player that I was in the sweepstakes for and just couldn't compete with what I thought was an absurd offer of the picks being swapped there. I believe I was offering a kind of like a 6th round pick, and Matt would give me back like a 8th round pick, which I thought was plenty reasonable for a player who's been pretty mediocre. But yeah, he ended up going for um, a 5th round pick and receiving a last round pick in return. So now, what is your guys' opinion? What was the most absurd trade we saw during this period? Least least return in for its value.
I'll go first just because I've made it pretty vocal to a couple people already. The Ducky trade on, was it Tuesday night to Kyler? Let's see, Ducky gets Christian McCaffrey, Rashad White, and Kyler gets Lamar Jackson, Stephon Diggs, Alvin Kamara. No picks switched there. I told you, Nate, I told Ducky himself that I think Kyler is owed at least 1 or 2 more 2nd round picks there.
Yeah,
It's
I agree with you there.
pretty
What
absurd. Kyler is
happens?
the worst
A lot
trader
of
out
different
there.
opinions. A lot of differing opinions on that trade, and I don't know how people are on the side where Ducky got screwed. But I've talked to a couple people who are like, "Oh, Ducky, you completely lost that trade," which makes
I,
no sense. Christian
Ducky
McCaffrey
said
is
that
the
he
league
was very
supply
ecstatic
running
and
back.
doesn't see the
Yeah.
downside from his side. And he told me that Matt thought that he lost the trade or thought it was pretty even. And I'm like, okay, this guy.
Well, Lamar Jackson is hurt. He has a knee and an ankle injury currently. He's having the worst year of his career. Alvin Kamara is injured and washed, and Stephon Diggs is a wide receiver two at best
Yeah,
for a guy who's having one of the best fantasy seasons in the history of the NFL.
yeah, exactly. And the worst part about it is this is the second time that Ducky has fleeced Kyler this season, already getting him on our same ground for a bag of peanuts. So,
Where he got JSN, which wasn't
yeah,
even part of this because that was
sorry,
earlier in the
sorry,
season.
he got JSN earlier.
Here, I'm just pulling up. This doesn't show the pick swapped because that is being done separately, but we can at least see the players involved here. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I texted Ducky right away and be like, man, you fleeced him on that one. I'm usually feel like I'm pretty moderate on these, but I really thought that one was Kyler should have been advocating for picks. Definitely.
Or at least, if it was Amon-Ra St. Brown instead of Diggs, thought that
Hmm.
would be kind of even because the Lions are going to be in domes the rest of the year. They got high-powered offense. They're going to be pushing for the playoffs. They're probably going to be feeding them the ball. So at least you can argue you get a legit wide receiver one, but you didn't get like an actual starter, like legit starter in the trade.
Yeah.
I I don't understand how you're trading an elite guy in an elite position for three backups is what they kind of are at the moment.
Yeah, obviously, I think if Kyler were here to share his views, he wouldn't have seen it that way. But that's how they were on Ducky's team. And yeah, I just think unless there's an injury, which is not shouldn't be considered part of any trade calculation, that's how it's going to work out. And I feel like just with, I know Kyler's trying to make a push, and he was really hamstrung by buys this week and injuries, and he was really just trying to start a starting roster, and those players would do that for him. I think unfortunately he probably should have called it at the situation means I'm not a real threat to win this year, and probably should have been going for picks anyways, and could have gotten a good haul for next year. Like we know with Matt, who we saw the summary in Discord, is he's gone all in, and to his, if he doesn't make the playoffs last year, he's screwed up during the draft because he's got 2/3, 2/4, 2/5, and 2/11, and the 2/11s don't matter, of course, but the other ones, that's instead of seventh, eighth, 10th, and 15 round picks. Uh, he is taking full advantage of the current rules, which is, what you should do, I guess, maximize your capacity, but also is why I'm thinking we're going to have some real haves and haves nots next year, perhaps, which is why I'm thinking we might need to move the trade deadline up a few weeks.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with
Um,
everything you just said there, Nate, that Matt's taking advantage of the rules as they are here and should be good next year. Obviously, he had some highs and lows, and ever since he's been on the pod, I think he's lost 5 games in a row and not been good. And losing to Nick Adams last week, who already said he was selling the farm,
Yep.
was
It's
probably
tough.
the cutting point and pretty embarrassing for Matt there.
yeah. Um, so now from you, Shane, any other trades this week that felt like just didn't make sense to you, or maybe were very shrewd on the other end?
Yeah, that was the only one that really raised eyebrows. Obviously, I gave up a lot for some players, but I wanted to make a push for this year, and I felt like going all in. If I win it, it's worth it. If I don't, it's not. But F the
So would you
odds.
say that this was a bad move if you lose in the finals?
If I make it to the finals, it's neutral. If I win the finals, it's a win. If I don't make it to the finals, then it's a bad move on my part. But whatever, it's fantasy football. Ultimately, it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. We don't even play for money. I'd rather have the fun of all the trades going through and the chaos. It's been fun the last few days. So
Yeah, it is a
Oh,
lot of fun, and
it's definitely been fun. Yeah.
I'd like to even say, Shane, I think you had maybe a very fair trade. You got Jonathan Taylor, who's the best player in fantasy football, but you gave up a second round pick and a third round pick to get a fourth round pick back.
yeah,
So, I mean, if this doesn't work for you, your team is arguably not going to be that competitive next year, right off the bat, at least. So,
yeah,
I I I mean I think it drops your chances from like 50% competitive or you could say to like 20%. I don't think it's you rule it out.
it would
And
take me
I
hitting on a mid-round pick like Jonathan Taylor was probably a fourth round pick this year. So if I hit on someone like that, or JSN was a mid-round pick this year, if you hit on a guy like that, then you can still be successful. But margin of error is definitely slimmer.
mhm.
yeah, and I definitely support going for it at the expense of the chance next year. I think like that's what real sports teams do. And um I think that I agree that if you lose in the finals, still not a mistake because what ends up getting remembered is, 20 last year was this player versus that player, and the year before that was this player versus that player. And there's a winner, but the kind of the history is who were the top two. Um, so I actually so I mean to my final pick to John for Jonathan Taylor, Shane, was I also was offering a second and third round pick, but in return I wanted a fourth and a seventh, and you
Mm-hmm.
got back a fourth and a 15th,
Mm-hmm.
which really isn't that different.
Yeah, because once we
Um,
get in the later rounds, it's kind of a crapshoot. So
yeah, I guess I mean seventh is certainly a much better pick, but kind of small potatoes compared to the main event. Um, and I thought it was interesting that Carson got a second round pick for Jamar Chase. I know he's been
yeah,
really good, but been really inconsistent this year and is missing a game.
Yeah, I was going to say the second round pick that Kenny's given up. Kenny's obviously current in second place. He has a decent chance to win this year, and he kind of needs to and wants to get his first championship, giving up a second round pick.
Mhm. No, and I think there are kind of three players that went all in. I think you went all in, Shane, with the second round, and I think Ducky went all in, and Kenny went all in. One of you, by your definition, made a mistake.
yep,
If you don't think you're the odd man out, who do you think is the odd man out? Or are multiple players the odd man out?
yeah. Most likely that's how it's going to go. Katie will somehow sneak in by getting some ridiculous performances late in the year, and Snickers is in first place at the moment, so he's got a great team and could easily still get there.
I kind of had a more feeble effort. I wasn't willing to sell next year for it because I think my team is pretty average this year, but I have had three number one weeks, and I feel like I don't think I'm going to win, but I could definitely ruin somebody's season.
And you will.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
that's
one
what
I could even
Katie Kyle
ruin
is going
one of
for.
these. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. Let's take a look at I guess while we're on the theme, perhaps. Also a really wild week on the waiver wire.
Hmm.
Um, and actually, this might be an opportunity too, Shane, to tell us about the your new team name. I
Yep.
can't tell if you're referring to Snickers or Ducky here.
Uh, Ducky, because I have both of his elite running back handcuffs with Brian Robinson Jr. and Tyler Algier. So,
Gotcha. No, that I see. Because the actual team name is, of course, we have the Mighty Ducks here with
right.
Snickers. And I feel like you might be able to argue that it was referring to both. Um, and there may even be a scenario where you take them both out of the playoffs. But I
Yeah,
guess
I
you
mean,
have the
you can
handcuff interpretation.
certainly interpret it the way you want. It's ambiguous, I suppose, and people can have their own opinion on what it means. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, man. And on top of getting more your running back cuffs here, you're also picking up Emmanuel Wilson for $40. Obviously, Josh Jacobs probably not playing this week, so it's a good pickup this week. But yeah, handcuffing Kyle, trying to keep him out of the playoffs right now with the Jacobs manager. How'd you spend the $40 there?
Yep, I guess my 40 was a good offer because Kenny was there with 37, so
Yeah,
I was on the nose with the amount, and I figured if I get a starting running back at this point, and this was before the trade, so I was
yeah,
desperate for a running back. So I figured if I get a starting running back for 1 week, it's worth a lot of money at this point in the season.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
man.
that's what that money's for. I would have been all about that had I had the money. I think I only have $6 to my name at this point. But um, I was pretty sad to have dropped Emmanuel Wilson 2 weeks ago. Um, Now Kyler's also been really involved here, spent up on Kenneth Gainwell and Darnell Mooney. Do you guys know what's going on with Pittsburgh that means that Kenneth Gainwell all of a sudden is valuable?
Jalen Warren's hurt. He hasn't been ruled out yet. He's been dealing with a nagging thing that there's a chance he doesn't play this week. And Kenneth Gainwell went off really well last week when Warren went out.
Yep, basically the same as the Josh Jacobs, both hurt, both questionable. Then Wilson and Gainwell are set to be the lead guys on those teams.
hmm And then I'm surprised there wasn't more interest in Darnell Mooney. I know the quarterback also got injured, but he's the only guy to catch the ball now.
Except for Mr. Kyle Pitts,
Yeah, but he's had that forever.
who will eternally be sitting on my bench.
That sounds great, Nate, but when you realize that they can possibly throw for under 100 yards, doesn't matter if you're the only guy, you're still not going to do well.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I see that as a major issue, but still, I mean the waiver wire is not about picking up the superstar. You want to pick up the superstar, but I feel like $20 can easily go towards a guy who you might play once the rest of the year. Um,
No, definitely. I think that's more of the case for running backs. Wide receivers are a little bit more plenty. Um, I mean, Darnell Mooney is a guy that if you need a wide receiver, go ahead, spend the money if you have it. It just wasn't going to
Yeah.
be a guy I would ever play.
He's had a couple recent duds as well, so that might be affecting people's decision making there. But yeah, a couple other, I'd say, relatively decent pickups. Harold Fannin, I know Shane's a big fan of. Jackson Dart for $2, Nate, you beat me. Uh,
mhm.
Harrison Mevis, kicker, Bears defense, and Isaiah Pacheco, who's injured but coming back. Ducky's doing some maneuvering there.
Yeah, he's been in tune this year, getting a lot of I think have been a little bit ahead on some of these things. We'll see if that one pays off. Um, he can't have too much money left. Um, that might be just what the thing we end on today, kind of a theme of kind of team moves here as we're getting to the big part of the season. But if we look at the budgets,
Yeah.
um, John has $100. I'm not sure how he's pulled that off. He had to pick someone up at some point, but I think he must have done it on a Thursday. Um, we have it looks like Kyler actually only has $8 at this point. I have nine. Bottom tier Nick, of course, has zero because he spent it all on
Zay
that one player
Flowers.
who say flowers. Where are you at here, Shane? 46. So you still got some buying power here.
I do. I've only been doing like $1 or $2 bids for the most part until Wilson. Been waiting for the right opportunity. I think I was a little late on a few things earlier in the year, but try to hit
Yeah,
on some.
actually kind of surprised to see that you and Ducky Snickers both have a decent amount of money left as well. 56 for you, 36 for Ducky.
Yeah, both of us have been doing a lot of the $1, $2 bids that Shane was talking about. I don't think either of us have made a huge splash purchase yet. Definitely trying to save as much money as I can for the playoffs. But yeah, if there's someone I try to get Emmanuel Wilson, thinking that people might not be paying attention this week, and $15 didn't cut it. So
Yeah. Um, so yeah, it's interesting. I think the I don't know if we've really had such a climactic end to the regular season before, so excited for it. Now, anything else that you would want the league to know about you, Shane, now that you have this platform?
Uh, Hold on to your butts.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we all probably want to say that. Um,
hold on to your butts.
and so, but yeah, that's what we have for today. Kind of a special episode focused on transactions. Thanks for joining us today, Shane.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we will see you all next week.